r/AskReddit. What is surprisingly not scientifically proven? Whether reality is consciousness based or vice versa. Since we can only observe reality through the senses, or through instruments, which are observed through the senses. Not that it's a big deal. No need to go all the secret about it, just enjoy the ride you are on. How antidepressants work. This is not my field. But I remember an article that I read many years ago stating that a lot of the early antidepressants, while being capable of functioning as SSRIs, were actually encouraging hippocampal neurogenesis. A lack of neuron growth in the hippocampus is a symptom of depression in some cases. As to why the drugs did that, I don't think the mechanics were explained or possibly known at the time. No double-blind study has ever concluded that parachutes reduce the chance of dying when jumping from great height. No offense, but if I go skydiving I'm going with someone else. Alright, you can go with me. I need some people for the control group. Astronomer here. Neutron stars are the remnants of giant stars that exploded and are basically balls of neutrons that are the mass of the sun crammed into the size of an average city. We first learned about them 50 years ago this year, when an astronomer named Jocelyn Bell Burnell started picking up a repeating radio source from outer space several times a second, which were called pulsars. A fraction of these neutron stars, it turns out, gives off a beam of radiation from their poles, and as they spin, as fast as one rotation a millisecond, as slow as once every few seconds, we see that beam sweep past us. Sort of like a lighthouse beam sweeping past Earth. Jocelyn then famously did not get the Nobel Prize, but her supervisor did. Most likely because she was a woman. So far what I've said is, as I said, established for half a century. But you know what's weird? These neutron stars are so tiny you could never, ever see it with a normal telescope, but give off this crazy beam of radiation. But we don't know why the radio beam is emitted in the first place. Like, we can model the pulsars pulsing so accurately that they are accurate to nanoseconds, over thousands of years more accurate than an atomic clock, but beyond probably something to do with its spin and magnetic field. Well, no one knows. I love finding your posts. Please never stop, astronomer here. I'll learn so much. Thanks. No plans to stop soon. It's pretty fun. I'm not sure about this, but I don't think they know what gravity is exactly. They know it exists. They know how it can be measured and proven to exist. But as far as what it actually is, I don't think they know. Gravity is explained in general relativity as the curvature of space-time by mass and energy. What is not well understood is how gravity works at really small scales. There is no quantum theory of gravity, so it doesn't play nice with the standard model that describes the other fundamental forces. Okay, super buried and late to the thread, but every time this comes up I always say it. How bicycles work. We have no explanation for why bicycles don't fall over when in motion. Now is the point when they physics students go. Gyroscopic forces from the wheels. Yes, gyroscopic forces are important to balancing on a bicycle. But tests have been done with special equipment to nullify the gyroscopic forces of the wheels, and guess what? The bike still balances itself in motion. Others will say it is because the front wheel and handlebars turn into or out of a fall based on momentum. But just like gyroscopes, this has proven helpful to balance, but not necessary. A bike with its handlebars welded in place will still balance. Finally, the trailing theory, where a misalignment of weight helps, has been disproved as in all the other cases as the reason a bike will balance. In short, no matter what we take away to make the bike more unstable, in lab conditions, the bike will coast just fine, and we have no way to describe why it does that. That genetically modified food is bad for you. There is zero proof that GM food has any negative impacts for us health-wise. One paper by Sir Alan E. concluded that rats fed by GM maize developed tumors. However, there was no repeated trials. The type of rats used are known to develop tumors more frequently than others. And the size of the experiment, in terms of number of rats used, was not nearly big enough. As a result, this research was widely disregarded by scientists as well as the EFSA. Yet people are still fearful of eating GM food. How the first living organisms were formed. Isn't it still we think lightning hit primordial soup? Yet it can never be recreated in a laboratory. Why exactly grilled cheese tastes better when cut diagonally? Triangles are a shape of power, and melted cheese is a food of love. Which means a grilled cheese cut diagonally is some powerful love. This is why pizza is so good. But only if it's sliced properly. If caffeine is actually good for you or absolutely horrible. It's strange that we can't get a straight answer. In terms of safety, it is grass. Generally regarded as safe by the FDA, it is a mild CNS upper. Most basically. Unless you are ingesting toxicity levels of it. It's not absolutely horrible in any way. It is, however, mildly addictive. Interestingly enough, the same can be said of nicotine. Nicotine, in and of itself, is pretty harmless aside from being a mild CNS upper and mildly addictive the same way caffeine is. It's the rest of the garbage in tobacco products that cause health issues, namely the additives in cigarettes to increase nic dependency, as well as using smoke/tar as the delivery vehicle, which is where the real health impacts come from. So don't worry. Go ahead and drink your coffee. And enjoy your essig. I'm currently drinking my morning black and vaping some mango/pineapple, and I appreciate the peace of mind. That traps are gay. Traps are gay. Girls. And you should respect them. I believe the scientific jury is still out on just what it is exactly that Meatloaf won't do for love. It's whatever he says at the start of the chorus. But I'll never forget the way you feel right now. Oh no. No way. And I would do anything for love. Oh, I would do anything for love. I would do anything for love. But I won't do that. No. I won't do that. I just learned from an episode of This American Life that period synchronization, 2 or more women who spend a lot of time together sync up their periods, was based on a study that nobody else was able to replicate. So, it's referenced a lot in popular culture. And I honestly always thought it was a thing. But just one study showing it seemed true isn't really enough. Most women do not have cycles that are the exact same length. So even if you seem to sync up with someone, it could just be coincidence. Basically. Why once in a relationship the man is consistently wrong from that point forward. Sounds like just a bad relationship. So-called medical marijuana. Although a number of studies have been done that suggest the possibility of therapeutic use, there is no clinical trial that supports that cannabis can be used therapeutically. All drugs need to go through rigorous testing and studying before being allowed to be prescribed to patients. This rigorous testing culminates at a clinical trial third. Clinical trials 3 have been done for cannabis and have failed to show that cannabis is superior than placebo or previous best therapy/drug. As such, it is anti-scientific for cannabis to be dubbed medicinal, at the very least at the moment. PS/edit. By medical cannabis are meant primarily whole plant extracts. Had I wanted to say specific substances derived from the cannabis plant, I would have used the term cannabinoid or cannabinoids. The reason for that is that these whole plant extracts not only are less likely to be proven efficacious, but also are very likely and easy to be abused. The benefits of using floss. I still do, because my dentist orders me to. But a lot of articles on the web seem to believe that there is very little proof of its efficacy. Edit. Using floss. Not passing floss. Efficacy. Not efficiency. I realize this doesn't really answer the question. But as a biologist, this is something I'd like to clarify because I feel like lots of people don't understand this. Technically in science, most things are not proven. Scientists like to use words such as accepted or rejected, especially when discussing theories. So for example, the theory of gravitation, the theory of evolution, or the germ theory. These are things we accept as facts because studies can be repeated with similar results. This is why the field of science is constantly changing. Cause sooner or later, results may show evidence of new results of a repeated study. Something doesn't become proven per se until it becomes a scientific law. For example, the law of thermodynamics, or Bragg's law. It is always best to approach science with humility. We do not, and probably will never know all of the answers. The mystery of the unknown is part of the reason Why science is so fascinating to me. Edit. I was in no way attempting to say that a theory will eventually become a law. I was simply just stating that scientific laws are generally seen to be proven, while theories are not. Yes, the accuracy of some laws are widely debated, but I would like to think that generally, the laws of nature are constant and very rarely fail to explain natural phenomena, while theories can be mutable. Hope that clarifies things a bit. I realize my wording may have been a little confusing, and I'm sorry if anyone got the wrong idea from my opus. Clarification about theories vs laws. Laws are not better or preferred. Laws are simply a statement of observation that can be described by an equation. X. Newton's law of universal gravitation. Newton had no idea why gravity works the way it does, but he was able to describe how it works. Theories are statements trying to describe why the universe works the way it does. X. Einstein's theory of general relativity. Einstein tries to give an explanation of gravity as being caused by mass warping space-time. There is no way to know if a theory is correct, only that an experiment has not been done to prove it incorrect. For an example of this, Newton's laws become inaccurate in certain conditions, like at relativistic speeds. And when you use mathematical models related to the theory of relativity, the results are much more accurate. It would be hard to describe a law to be preferred over a theory, considering the theory of relativity corrects the error of Newton's laws, an error that would make GPS significantly inaccurate. Despite widespread popular belief, there's no experimental evidence that the birdies, in fact, the word. But haven't you heard? Ducking, like and subscribe.